All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Tyler, Director of Marketing at the TIE. We have a great panel here. We're going to be talking about key narratives and really how, as a token marketing team, you can stay on top of key narratives and really drive your token project forward. So if you want to get started with some quick introductions, and then we'll jump into the content.
Sure. Thank you. I'm Ben Wellington, head of community at Avalabs. Have been here for 3 years-ish. We oversee, thank you, Megan. We oversee Avalanche blockchain.
Hey everyone, my name is Christian Narvaez. I'm the founder of Rayo Capital Group, early stage investor in the digital assets economy, global mandate with a strong emphasis on emerging markets.
Hey everyone, I'm Matt. I do advisory through a firm called Left Curve. Mostly work with Ondo, where I handle, a little bit of marketing, a little bit of strategy, a little bit of DeFi.
Cool. So we're going to start off with kind of the question everybody's wondering is, what are some really, what's a key narrative that you're really bullish on right now? And as a marketer in the space, how can you kind of stay on top of what narratives are emerging and keep your project kind of at the forefront?
I'll kick it off. So for us, I think at Avalanche, we're focused on RWAs and amongst other things. So we've partnered with major TradFi companies. So that kind of helps keep us at the forefront. And then just like everybody else, it seems AI is kind of leading the charge. So we're really hammering that as well.
So I would say for us, the team, we have a couple of TradFi folks, and we like to invest at the intersection of capital markets and crypto. So for us, again, it's making sure that we understand sort of what innovations are happening across either the capital market stack, the small medium business, or the consumer finance stack. And by running, we do a lot of events. We have actually a brand called Web3 Familia, where we run a lot of hacker houses, both activations online and IRL. And that helps us stay in tune with what developers are doing across those three sectors. And it helps us stay up to date with where the architecture is and innovation.
So the Matt, before you go, Christian, what's like the one or two key narratives you're super bullish on right now?
I mean, for us, we've always looked at the payment space, stable coins, right? I think a big win for the sector was Stripe acquiring Bridge. Again, for us, we've been doing that. And that, just for a little bit of context, as a former investment banker, I covered U.S. and Latin America for 10 years. And it was interesting to see that Bridge, 80% of their client base and revenue comes from Latin America. So again, that's insight I don't think that many people know. And just, a LatAm bull, but also in general, the payments of the future of finance, both as well.
Ondo, obviously I have to say RWAs. I think there's a complex relationship between RWAs and the bull and bear market cycles where, like, as you get into a bear, all of the other tokens are kind of uninteresting and nothing pumps, and so you might as well be in RWAs. And I think it, has maintained a resilience as a result of that, where, previously you would only talk about it at the bottom of the cycle, and now it's managed to carry its way into a bull market as well. So I think that's kind of crossed the chasm, and we're going to see acceleration there. At Ondo, the narrative tends to be something like RWAs you can use, because historically it's just kind of been XYZ person tokenizes fund on Polygon or on Avalanche or whatever. I think we're going to start to see a lot more touching of RWAs with DeFi. So that'll be cool to see what that opens. I'm going to deliver a hot take here and say I'm pretty bullish meme coins, because how could it get any fucking worse? I think you have to distinguish the difference between meme coins and celeb coins. Celeb coins have always been grifty and gross. Effectively, what drives a meme coin is no expectation of value, no expectation of anything coming out of it, no expectation of utility. If you look at celebrity coins, there is an expectation of utility. There's an expectation that the person is going to tweet about it. There's an expectation that the person is going to buy it back with profits or something, right? And pure memes like Doge, they don't have like a celebrity figure. There is no expectation of anything, right? It's just like your community there. And so meme coins, I think, will continue to exist and continue to pump because what else are people going to buy? Like the tokenomic landscape has been so predatory for the last like 3 years. I really think that calling meme coins dead is like, I think it's like overblown at this point. So I'm looking for like cheap meme coins right now. I think we're at a good point.
To just maybe piggyback on the meme coin mania, I think there's two sort of top of mind meme coins that are recent, which were the Trump coin and also the Libra coin from the president of Argentina, Milei, that was pushed. I think there's two ways to see that, right? There's the whole mania and grifting that can and has happened, but also I think if you look at the technology and the architecture and sort of how we're pushing the limits on capital formation, I think that is one of the benefits that allows us the space to sort of understand the limits of capital formation. So sure, there's I would say mania happening, but I think not looking or I would say appreciating how far we've come from a capital formation perspective. I think that's powerful. It's sure, meme coins are, and I think any narrative, there's always going to be sort of good actors and bad actors. To keep it simple.
I'm gonna add one more too that is new to Avalanche, called ShameFi. And so we've been seeing a lot of free sales pop up on Avalanche called in the ShameFi, where if you get in the pre-sale, the project tracks your wallet, and if you sell 50%, it puts you on the shame board, and it shows like the top fumble. I think at one point last week, the top fumble was like $7.3 million of someone that bought into the pre-sale. So we've seen several projects launch that on Avalanche, and I think that a lot of them are following suit. It's a project called Ket that launched it first, and then we've seen 2 or 3 others that are following suit. So we've kind of coined ShameFi now on Avalanche. So I think that's pretty bullish too.
I love that concept, ShameFi. It kind of keeps you accountable as a token, so you don't fall into the ShameFi bucket. So Ben, what role would you say KOLs and influencers or even ambassadors, if you want to bring it to ambassadors, what role would you say they play in driving key narratives in the space?
Yeah, I think so. We at Avalanche had launched our ambassador program about a year ago. Today we're sitting at about 455 ambassadors. I think we're on every continent except Antarctica, which, who could even count that one anyways? But and we're averaging about 1.5 to 2 events per day throughout the world with this ambassador program. So one thing that we can do with them is we can really leverage them to, help pitch and broaden our narratives throughout the world, where if we just relied on Avalanche or Avalabs employees to do that, there's no way we could get that done. So we're really leveraging their reach. We feed them narratives on a weekly basis on what we're focused on as a community team, and then they kind of follow suit. They get rewarded for their time and effort through various ways, but a lot of it is used to help boost their resume, potentially get jobs elsewhere, things like that. So really leveraging these ambassadors to help with a global footprint to help spread our narratives.
Matt, how would you say you use social listening tools to kind of track and analyze narratives and help you kind of stay on top of what's driving the industry?
So one of the more interesting conversations I've ever had about these like data-driven, quantifiable, social tracking tools was with the founder of Kaido. And I basically came to him. I was like a subscriber. I was like, dude, I'm not getting a ton of value out of this. And he's like, well, how are you using it? And I'm like, well, I am trying to find narratives as they grow and then like buy them. He's like, you're using it all wrong, man. Like you got to have and now like I'm paraphrasing, but you got to have an opinion going in on like what the narrative will be. And then like think like a trader, right? and then you basically use the data to like confirm or like negate your hypothesis here. And so like you're looking for like thesis validation or invalidation. So I think that like if you're trying to use these tools to like track what people are talking about and then like jump on that train, you're already late, you know? I think the better way to do it is to like find narratives that fit with your values, with your like character, with your like strong points, right? And jump on them early, and then like very quickly, like if they're not working or if they are working, like turn up the knob on the like marketing your funnel, or like marketing like loudspeaker, I guess, to double down on the narratives that are working. I think that's where like the data becomes like very, very useful. It can also be useful in telling you when something is peaking and you need to like pivot to something else. It's a little bit like surfing, right? Where you gotta like, when the wave breaks, you gotta have a plan, right? And so I think these tools are like super useful, especially for someone who's not like addicted to Twitter like me. But you gotta be like very nuanced about how you use them. So for me, it's like tracking, validating, invalidating the thesis, and like using it that way.
Any specific tools you would recommend?
What was the Thai avalanche thing called?
Yeah. Frosty metrics.
Fan can fill that one.
I'll help you with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Greenfield, man. I used to use the Thai back when I had a seat. When you want to sponsor a seat, go for it. I used to use Kaido. It's like, it doesn't quite have that level of granularity that I'm generally looking for. I think it's the Greenfields. Right now, my best answer is I am just on Twitter all the time. There's got to be a better answer for that, especially with AI.
So this question can kind of go to all of us, but we'll start with you, Christian. Do you think brands can shape their own narratives, or do you think they're primarily reactive to the market? And if so, if they can shape their own narratives, what do you think is the keys to doing that? Is it working with KOLs, or maybe is it founder-led personal brands driving the token brands? What would you think? What would your perspective on that be?
I think when it comes to categories, and obviously a founder or a company is building on a certain category, I think founder-led narratives are always great. And I think a support system behind that would be investors and other, I would say, founders within that category to collect.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to let you know that the S'mores and Hot Chocolate Station is open outside. It is sponsored by Stellar.
Let's go. Let's wrap this up. More after this. We have s'mores coming up, guys.
See you guys later.
No, good. I want s'mores now. So I guess to bring it back, yeah, I think founder-led narratives are important because first and foremost, they are the ones pushing those boundaries, understanding the frictions, and beyond that, they have to sell the vision. And I think founders, in order to get the attention, not only just them, but the company and then the collective, that's important. And obviously the support system that comes from either the ecosystem, service providers, and or investors is the multiplier to make sure that the goals are achieved.
I think a lot of successful narratives come from the community. I think community, your community has to buy into the narratives. If you can, and I agree, founders are important, but they could put out narratives, and if the community doesn't agree or support, their odds are not going to go anywhere. But it's kind of like the founder can throw the alley oop, and the community has to kind of slam dunk in.
Yeah, I mean, I think price leads narrative, right? And I think as a protocol, your job is to try to identify the ones where price is going to go up. So like, I actually think it's crucial to have a number of like very active liquid traders within each protocol, in order to identify like what's going on. I think Hyperliquid did this extremely well, right? Where like it may or may not be a narrative, but like if you think about it, look at Hyperliquid listings, right? They were extremely early to list WIF. They were extremely early to list PopCat. And like all of these other tokens that like their users made money on, they were very quick to like that narrative. Then when Story Protocol dropped or Parachain dropped, like they were like listed them on day one. I think it's really important to have like active market participation to try to identify what you think might pump. Because like it or not, like every single one of us in this industry is kind of a trader. You're trading your time for tokens or for equity or for, vibes. Like you kind of want to always think about it like that, because trading is like the life force, the blood that keeps this industry pumping. And so I think if you're trying to like force a narrative that like the market has shown you it doesn't want to buy, I think like parallelized DVM was probably like the clearest example of this. Like Say kind of came and went, and then Canto announced parallelized DVM. Polygon tried to jump on parallelized DVM. Like you can try to force that narrative, but the market had already stopped buying it. And so I think like your job as a protocol is to identify which narratives I think have potential. Of those, which ones do I have core competency on? Of those, like which one fits with like my brand values and like my community, and like which ones are they actually going to be excited about? And then from there, you say, okay, I think I have like 2 or 3 winners. Let's try and back them. Is it working? Is it not? And then like always like adjust course as needed. But it's price, right? Like, it's got to be price.
So, Ben, how would you say narratives emerge and evolve in crypto? And Matt thinks it's price, but is it community? Is it the market? Is it price that really drives some narratives to be more powerful than other narratives?
Yeah, for sure. I think Matt's totally right. Price going up is the best marketing that any project can have. I do think kind of everything we've all said plays a factor, what with price maybe being the leading narrative driver. But for price to go up, you have to have a narrative behind the project. Back in early days, 2017, all these projects were saying, we're going to end world hunger. We don't know how we're going to do it, but it's on our roadmap. We updated our logo, make the price pump. Like in 2017, that was how it went down. And now we have actual real use cases and real projects with real, use cases. And so times are different. So you have to find that narrative that fits your community and then expand it to fit the overarching crypto community as well.
And one more thing, I think it's important to stay top of mind, right? And what I mean by that? I think understanding and seeing what pop culture or culture is, that's my share that is global, can be global, right? And I think as long as you stay on top of what's happening in pop culture, whatever that is, whether it's in the US or around the world, I think those are narratives that you could jump on as a founder, as an ecosystem, to stay on top of mind, right? And obviously have your own spin to it, have your DGen spin to it. And I think staying on top of those sort of global or cultural narratives is important to be able to stay top of mind. Staying top of mind is everything.
So Matt, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges going back to KOLs and influencers and ambassadors? What are some challenges with working with these sorts of people?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few structures, right? In general, every like KOL like introductory agency, because projects don't want to go like straight to KOLs unless they have like a very close personal relationship. They don't want to have like the potential for like a Twitter screenshot to leak of like, hey, we want to pay you to like talk about like, I don't know, who can I joke about? Talk about like Terra Station, or talk about whatever, right? Like you don't want to have like the direct KOL relationship because you need plausible deniability if you're actually just going to pay them to talk about your project. And so you go through these like KOL agencies and they all have the same list of people and they all charge the same price, plus or minus 15 to 20%, depending on what their rake is. And the KOL is like, they have like 1 million users. Like some of them are real and some of them are not, because every like 10th post that they post is like not a paid show, and it'll be like some kind of interesting data analysis or something. And so they get real followers, but like in practice, I don't think they're very like, I don't think they get promoted by the algo very well. And so, and then when they post about something that seems like somewhat random, it's not like their audience is like specific anyway. They're pretty general purpose. And so I've always felt like if you're going to go through like KOLs with a large following, it's actually best to utilize them if they have access to an audience that your brand otherwise doesn't have access to. And so at Polygon, like the move would have been, I don't know if they like executed on this, would have been to target like Avalanche KOLs, right? And like reach into that community. And I think it's very easy for marketers to sort of like pander to their community and like deliver the same messaging over and over again and wonder why it's not working. From there, you have like ambassadors, right? And that's like its own, I think, area of expertise. Honestly, I think it's not a bad idea to hire someone who has experience managing that kind of program, because I think it will pay its weight in dividends. But broadly speaking, I would only then go to like then you have like the sort of like mass KOLs where it's like 20, 30,000 followers each. You pay like, I don't know how much, but like, it's part of a campaign. And in general, the only place that I've seen that be successful is when you have messaging that you forgot to get out on your primary marketing channels, or you feel like hasn't really like been picked up. It's good to like get just like a ton of eyeballs of distribution very quickly. If it's not the most important messaging in the world, but you're like, hey, like XYZ financial institution onboarded to ABC chain, we want the whole world to know about it. Like, let's just get some KOLs to tweet about it, and like somebody will pick it up. So that's kind of how I think about it. I'm generally more bearish KOLs, I would say, than the average person. I'm bearish KOL rounds because I think it basically takes like your community and makes them, instead of being like inclined to buy your token, I think it makes them kind of dump it because they got it at like a pretty cheap price. And I think that like the vast majority of your audience that like the KOLs like tap into are probably also trying to like farm this thing now because they don't want to wait and like buy it on the liquid market if they're seeing all your favorite KOLs talk about it. So this is all to say it's very, very difficult to get a lot of value out of a KOL campaign, and I would use it sparingly, if at all.
And we also see what we're kind of calling KOL cabals, or like kind of crews of KOLs that rally around the same narrative, but then have beef with the other KOL cabals. Any comment on kind of how to manage those relationships and avoid any bad situations?
Yeah, you don't want to piss off the cabals, but sometimes it's good, right? Like, it's better to be hated than ignored. I personally have the word cabal muted on my Twitter. I just think that like this is just like a non-factor if you're like actually trying to run like crypto marketing.
Have you guys ever seen Anchorman? When all the weathermen come together and fight. I always, when I think of cabals and like the KOL cabals, I always think of them like doing something similar to that.
Great analogy. Christian, did you want to add anything to that? So final question here. We're going to kind of go down the line. Ben, we can start with you. What do you think is going to be the key narratives that are going to dominate and drive 2025?
I think AI will be one of the leading ones, but I think the other narratives maybe haven't risen to the surface yet. I think ShameFi on Avalanche is going to be big. And I don't know the other ones yet. I think, back on previous bull runs that we've seen, they haven't been identified yet. Some will creep up. AI, I think, will lead the way across all chains. I think ShameFi will on Avalanche. And then the other ones, I think, TBD. I know that really is not any alpha for anybody, but apologies.
I would agree on the AI piece, but that combination of AI and payments, AI Fi, AI Agent Fi, obviously it's a space that we're really focused on. Stable coins is a space that I think is gonna pick up steam even more now. And then another one that I would say is maybe off the beat track, I would say longevity. I've seen longevity as a conversation, as a narrative pick off across not only just, it started in Web 2 with all these sort of the magnificent 6 or 7, however you want to look at it. I think it's a combination of multiple things, but I think longevity or health and wellness is a thing that is top of mind. And I slowly and surely see it coming into Web 3, and how can longevity at crypto become hyped over? I think longevity would be something that I would say pops off eventually this year. And I don't know. I think that's my hot take this year.
How much time do we have? So the next like 4 to 6 months are gonna be primarily dominated by the question like, is it over or not? Nobody made as much money as they wanted to this cycle. I don't know, maybe some of you guys did. If so, that's it. Let's party. And everybody's a little bit confused because it's like you have these like very bullish fundamental like catalysts, like the SEC dropping lawsuits and like, you know, not going after people for like doing nothing wrong, and like the president like being like bullish on crypto, and even like a lot of states talking about like Bitcoin strategic reserves. But in aggregate, like I think the kind of sentiment is going to be something like how, why, right? And like this happened last bull, or last bear. It was like, but we can't like trade down. Like, didn't you see like Facebook's all in on the metaverse, right? Like my meta tokens are worth something, right? And I think in general we're gonna see a lot of that like cognitive dissonance of like everything is shaping up nicely on the fundamental side, but the price just keep going down. And I think that could last longer than any of us wants it to. And you have to be kind of like prepared for that. I don't think we're entering a bear, but I do think we're gonna enter 4 to 6 months of it's fucking over. I quit. I'm going back to TradFi. And so I think like that's going to be like the first dominant narrative is like literally, is it over? Within is it over, you have stablecoins, right? Because like those are like not like very responsive. To a degree, stablecoin market cap is responsive to like bull bear. But also like stablecoin use cases, payments, RWAs, all that stuff is like pretty much good, right? It doesn't rely on like crypto prices going up. And then I think you have this other sort of like strange area of like hyperliquid where you can actually short on hyperliquid. And I think people are going to start posting screenshots where it's like, I shorted the top of Lyft all the way to the bottom, or I shorted the top of Farcoin all the way to the bottom. And I think those screenshots are going to go viral. And I think like that's like a pretty good bear market narrative as well. And then right when it seems over, the Fed's going to pivot and we're going to get global like liquidity injections. And we get like another like 6-ish months or so of like truly crazy like crescendo price action. And that's really where like narratives are going to become important. And it's not clear if it's going to be meme coins, if it's going to be Shamify, if it's going to be like layer 2. It probably won't be layer 2s, right? I feel like that one's easy. But it's too far out to know yet. And so the first answer is like, it's over, Fi. It's going to happen for a few months. And we all just got to chill out and like take some time off and like have a beer and like try to have fun.
Looks good. Send it.
That's great. Thank you guys. Thanks everyone.
Thank you too.